Before we get started with part 2, I just want to give a little update that, I was right? Between when the first video in this series was released and now, concept art from Dark Phoenix came out that includes the Hellfire Club, which implies at least that they were going to be the villains in an early draft of the script, which is like insane, because I did not know that when I pitched this as a change to Dark Phoenix. It makes a lot of sense. The Dabari do things that the Hellfire Club would do. They live places where the Hellfire Club would live. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that's a possibility, but still, it's wild that we found out last week. We got concept art of Emma Frost, Leland, a character named Frederick who has the power to turn into a werewolf, the Strucker twins, Shinobi Shaw, and the Red Lotus gang. So listen, I nailed it. That's all I got. We can move on. If you haven't seen part 1, go watch that. I'm not going to do a proper recap here, but the basic idea for my Dark Phoenix change is that you replace Vuk, the alien, with an X-Men character named Emma Frost. And the rest of the aliens get replaced with the mutant Illuminati known as the Hellfire Club, although we're calling them the Inner Circle here. From where we left off, this movie can go one of two ways: the simple way and the fun way. I prefer the fun way. So the simple way, just what happens in the original movie. Jean fights Magneto and the Professor, kinda has a change of heart. Emma takes some of the Space Force, mutants captured, train fight, this time a little more fun since we use specific Hellfire Club characters. Leland can manipulate gravity, Sunspot gets superhuman abilities in the sun, so this fight probably needs to take place during the day. Selene is a mutant power vampire. Oh, small change. Magneto and Beast should come to the fight alone, since this movie has a different Selene who's already in the Inner Circle, and as much as I love Captain Dreadlocks, he kind of feels like a third wheel without her there. Anyway, Spitfire uses super speed, and why don't the mutant guns work? Well, Mastermind uses mind control to make the guards throw them away. Then big fight, Jean explodes Emma and herself, end of movie. So yeah, much easier to map to the original movie. But it kind of feels like a betrayal of the Emma Frost we have set up so far in this rewrite. She isn't all bad or power hungry, so here's another option, the fun option. Fight happens around the same way outside of the Hellfire Club base of operations. Magneto and Beast take down Storm, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops. Magneto doesn't need backup because he's Magneto, and these are some relatively scrubby mutants at this point in history. So he gets taken down by Jean, same with the Professor. We can cut the bit where Professor walks like a marionette because it looks dumb. Instead, once the Professor and Magneto are neutralized, Emma Frost walks out. Charles says, "Emma?" Magneto says, "I thought you were dead." Emma says, "Well, I faked my death so I could go into hiding. I'm sure you can understand that, Eric." Charles says, "Let Jean go." Emma says, "Jean can do whatever she wants. I'm not controlling her. She's too powerful for that." Charles pleads, "Jean." Jean, "I'm sorry, Professor." Charles and Jean share a look. Then Charles gets a big headache. Magneto, "What are you doing, Emma?" "No, I'm not doing this." The Professor and Magneto both pass out. Jean says, "What are you doing? Stop it." And Emma says, "I told you, this isn't me." Then Emma is literally stabbed in the back. She goes diamond and falls over, and then Selene walks out of the shadows. So I've been very unsubtly hinting at a black-haired mutant Hellfire Club member who's scowling at everything. That's Selene. If you haven't heard of her, Selene is just the worst. In the comics, Selene is another member of the Hellfire Club. She is one of the most completely evil X-Men villains, like irredeemable. Selene is essentially a vampire who steals people's life force to keep herself alive. She is super old, even older than Apocalypse, who is generally considered to be the first mutant. She predates him by a lot, even maybe civilization generally. Selene is weird. She has a random grab bag of powers supplemented by her life force stealing. She's a telepath, telekinetic, immortal, with super strength. She can bring inanimate objects to life. Basically, Selene is a pig and tiger talisman short of possessing all of the talismans of Shendu. Yes, I know that's a very deep cut, but I love the Jackie Chan adventures. I even own some of the talismans. Right here I have the Rooster talisman, which gives you the ability to levitate, so, probably not someone to mess with. In a Dark Phoenix Hellfire Club story, Selene is the perfect candidate for the character who tries to steal the Space Force from Jean. Besides being pure evil, the life force stealing ability facilitates the actual stealing very well. And it's worth noting that a character named Selene does exist in Dark Phoenix. She is one of Magneto's goons. However, this character bears pretty much no resemblance to comic Selene besides being some sort of telepath. It was a real waste. I also like Selene turning into the new main villain because it gives us a chance to explore my favorite thing about the Hellfire Club. They are constantly backstabbing each other to gain control of the organization. The Hellfire Club is all about cloak and dagger power plays, so let's use one of those to raise the stakes in this movie. Selene takes out Emma, steals some of the Space Force. Jean tries to resist, but Wingard, aka Mastermind, subdues her. In the original comic story, Mastermind is the character that tricks Jean into becoming the Black Queen, so it's fitting that Mastermind plays a part here. Also, to make Selene work, I want to have a really short scene between Emma and Selene. It turns out they were the two cops who met Jean's dad. They used psychic powers to disguise themselves, and then they talk together. Selene says, "She's more powerful than we thought." Emma says, "Indeed, I'll find her and bring her into the fold." "And what if she refuses?" She won't. But what if she does? Well, then I'll have Wingard wipe her memory, and that'll be the end of it. I can take the power from her, you know, and potentially kill her and yourself in the process? No, that's not how we operate. Maybe it should be. There's only so much you can get done with persuasion. And we've seen where force gets you. There's a reason we avoid it. And there's a reason we continue to live in the shadows. We should be ruling them. However bad you think things are now, the escalation caused by an all-out war will only make things worse, win or lose. With her power, we can't lose. You can always lose. She comes on her own or not at all. That said, she will come. How are you so sure? Because I was her. See, I want this Emma-Selene relationship to mirror the Xavier-Magneto relationship, but not be exactly the same. Xavier believes humans and mutants can coexist, while Magneto believes mutants are superior to humans, and they deserve to be in charge. This version of Emma believes you can manipulate powerful people into doing what you want, and that's how she plans to maintain peace. Selene believes you need to threaten people with force, carrot and stick. They're both interested in controlling humanity from the shadows, but Selene is far more extreme. So Selene takes half of the Space Force. Cyclops blasts her out of the building. The MCU, geez, I just cannot get over that. The MCU shows up and starts capturing X-Men. Then the other members of the Inner Circle, who are working with Selene at this point, power up and get ready for a fight. But Mastermind tells them to stand down. They're confused, but Mastermind uses telepathy to send a message that we don't hear. And everyone except Selene is captured. So the new finale, everyone is on the train. The X-Men, Magneto, and Emma Frost are all in one train car, and the Inner Circle is in a second car. The good guys talk. Magneto: "Didn't think I'd see you again, Emma." Emma says, "Well, today is full of surprises." "Why didn't you stay with us?" "We all have our part to play. Ask Charles." "You knew?" "I had my suspicions that other forces were at play, but I never expected this." Well, today really is full of surprises. So what do we do now?" "We pray that his optic blast killed her." Then Selene arrives, she frees the rest of the Inner Circle, they kill the guards on their train, and then the X-Men, Magneto, and Emma are freed by a soldier on their train car. Oh, and let's give Charles a line. One I've been waiting for 19 years. The good guys are freed from their restraints, they don't know what to do. Then the professor looks at everyone, including Magneto and Emma, and says, "To me, my X-Men." This is the X-Men's Avengers Assemble, the symbolic burying of the hatchet between the Professor, Beast, and Magneto, and then also Emma's informal introduction to the team where she belongs. Kind of, for now. So now the new X-Men fight the new Inner Circle. Some fun matchups. You got Magneto versus Leland, Storm versus Sunspot, Spitfire versus Beast, Sage versus Nightcrawler. Then Emma goes up against Mastermind in, get ready for this, a psychic sword fight, the silliest part of the original Dark Phoenix comic that I refuse to leave out. And then the Professor and Cyclops go try to wake up Jean and hold off Selene. Then Jean wakes up, fights Selene, sacrifices herself to kill Selene, and destroys the Space Force. And one last thing. Boy, did I hate Jean's last line in the original movie. Vuk says, "Your emotions make you weak." And then Jean says, "No, my emotions make me strong." And then my eyes rolled so hard I almost passed out. Let's use this line instead. It's equally heavy-handed, but in the right way. Selene says, "Do you think you will ever have peace with those who hate and fear you?" And Jean looks at Scott and the Professor and says, "That's the dream." And then she flies Selene into the atmosphere and explodes. The whole hate and fear you line is the general thesis of the X-Men, and the dream is a callback to Xavier's dream of human-mutant peace. So that's the rewrite. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. Besides the Hellfire Club being more interesting antagonists in my opinion, they also do a good job to highlight some of the important themes. How can humans and mutants coexist in a way that's not the bad guy wants to blow up the planet and the good guy doesn't. Also, I think Emma Frost is a really fun character I like bringing back into the movies. And while I don't think Selene can be the only antagonist that supports the entire movie, I love her as a secondary antagonist and part of the Hellfire Club. Oh, and one more thing. A couple people have asked, where's Quicksilver? What am I going to do with him? Well, I think sidelining Quicksilver in this movie is actually a pretty good play. He's too fast, he solves too many problems, it's too convenient. Much like this video's sponsor, Dashlane. Dashlane is a mobile and desktop app that gives you a shortcut for everything you do online, logs you in instantly so you fly through forms. It's great for checkout on every device you own across Mac, Windows, iPhone, Android. Bring it all together into one package. Dashlane responds to breaches and hacks with personalized security alerts. It never has access to your personal data. It's got no credit card info required for sign up. Not even Dashlane can see your data. It's always ad-free. And now, if you guys go to dashlane.com/Nando, Nando, you get a free 30-day trial of Dashlane Premium, so you can get a look at Dashlane in action. If you like it, you can use the coupon code NANDO, again, Nando, at checkout for a 10% off discount. Speed through logins, forms, and checkouts like Quicksilver with Dashlane. As always, I have to give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are the best. You want to see your names up here, get access to videos early, other cool stuff. Throw in literally any amount of money at patreon.com/NandoVMovies. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Also, listen to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking, where every week me and my co-host DJ pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. We did an episode on Dark Phoenix, we've done episodes on X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men The Last Stand. I love X-Men stuff, so whenever there's an X-Men thing, we talk about it. And hey, who knows, maybe someday, ever, who knows, we may actually get that New Mutants movie that we're never going to get. So if that shows up, hey, we'll talk about that too. We are at NitpickingPod on Twitter, and you can listen wherever your podcasts are found. Last thing, as always, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NandoVMovies. It's where I give updates on videos and podcasts, and if the New Mutants trailer does happen to actually get released sometime in January, like Josh Bood said, I will talk about it there. So I am at NandoVMovies on Twitter and Instagram. That's all I got. I'll see you next time.